Hey guys, welcome to Beat the Banks. This is our Friday podcast where we talk about wonderful things in the world of digital assets, crypto, blockchains, decentralized finance, and trying to explain them to you as easily as possible. My name is Chris. They know me as the DeFi Professor. We're here to talk about this week's topic, which is going to be about crypto cards. But before we do that, I just wanted to get the word out real quick that we are live. Thanks for joining me. I hope you've had a great week. Thanks to everybody who tuned in last week to the Pizza DAO global live stream. I'm again so thankful to be a part of that. Was able to be on the stream twice. Once for my co-hosting hour last week around 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Then also earlier in the day, like way early, like 2 p.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m. Eastern was really when I was on, talking to some really amazing people from all around the world and what they do with regards to not just helping people understand about Bitcoin, but also with Web3 and digital assets and how they're going to change our lives, especially in that part of the world, for the better. So excited to definitely see, what is the follow up to all of that. So looking forward to collaborating with a lot of the different groups who are out there doing some amazing things. So congrats to Snacks, congrats to all the team over at Pizza DAO. Really had a great time, and we had a great event. Thanks to, of course, to Stand with Crypto, to Brave, to ENS, to On-Chain Media, all the different groups that were a part of putting together the Pizza DAO celebration for BTC Pizza Day. Last week, you got to see this hat that I made specifically for it. Yes, I did make this hat. This is a one of one here in this Bitcoin orange, and I'll probably wear this to Nashville when I go to BTC Nashville next year. So, or maybe another one that'll be that same orange, because I think I have another one, but regardless, hopefully you're having a great week. Hopefully you had a great Memorial Day. Shout out to obviously everyone that we celebrate on that day. Freedom is not free, no matter where you are in the world. And there are a lot of people who made the ultimate sacrifice for that. So always saluting those who have done so for our country in any capacity. I want to shout out my father, who is a Vietnam vet, my brother-in-law, who is a 2-time Iraqi war vet. Guys, war is terrible. It is a terrible thing. It messes with the mental. Shout out to all of our veterans who have gone through just, frankly, what's a pretty awful, in some cases, experience. So, anyway, the inspo for today's Beat the Banks comes from a, pretty regular post. Shout out to Hy-Vee, the Midwest global supermarket chain. They have had some killer loyalty event things where they often have, they have gas stations tied to all of their supermarket locations, well, most of them. And generally, when you spend a specific amount in groceries, you get a significant amount of cents off. So, pardon me. Thanks to last week, I was able to get, I think, 90 cents off the price of gas, something like that. It was a significant amount due to just doing a regular grocery run. But one thing that I have been using is my Coinbase Visa card. And I don't actually have my wallet nearby. It's over by the door. But I can show you specifically on Apple Pay. That's what it looks like right there. Tap to pay. I pay so many things with this. It's a blessing, really. So, thanks to Coinbase for amplifying this. This is, one of my bigger posts in quite some time. A little bit of context. It is more expensive than that for gas, for regular unleaded. Here in the Midwest, we have gas that's mixed with ethanol, 10% ethanol. it's okay. It stretches the gas. You don't get the best gas mileage, but you gotta do what you gotta do, right? Every penny counts, especially in this economy. So regular unleaded without the ethanol, I think, is like $4.60 a gallon, depending on where you're at. Diesel is $5 here in the Midwest, at least in most places that I've seen. So I know that is very little compared to certain other countries who, pay by the liter for their petrol, and it doesn't fall on deaf ears here as well. But just wanted to mention that. And Coinbase thought it was really cool that I use my Coinbase Visa card, which is buying fuel with USDC. So the way that works is, and again, what I normally do is I use my Coinbase Visa card generally for just various things. Like I pay for gas with it, I pay for snacks with it. Last night I needed a snack, and I didn't want to use the regular checking account that we have, so I used money that I have from Coinbase. Now, let me start by saying that you should not be treating Coinbase or any CEX as a bank. That's a bad idea. I'm going to go into a whole bunch of neobanks, quote unquote, in a minute, so it's a little contradictory in some ways. But self-custody is really what you're looking to have. Coinbase is kind of at the center right now of the fight for the Clarity Act, right? Because they want you to be able to just hold USDC in your Coinbase account, which is what I do. I actually, when I want to use my Coinbase account, I'll just kind of pop them up there in like $20 to $100 clips, and I just kind of use it for snacks or gas or anything else that I need out there, using USDC, which is great. I will say that obviously thanks to Coinbase for the functionality. 2 years ago, I took my family for the first time. I've been international, but my family has not. So we went to Vancouver for the first time 18 months ago, and that entire trip we paid for everything using the Coinbase Tap to Pay Visa card. I have the physical one as well. There were some places that didn't have Tap to Pay, but overall, used funds in from various things in DeFi, and then sent them to the USDC wallet on Coinbase. That's how I do it. Like if I'm going somewhere, like my wife's not going to watch this, but I was really hankering for a snack at around 1:30 in the morning, so I went out and I went to go get a McFlurry and a large fry. Probably not the best combination, but you may want to consider it. Regardless, I didn't have enough. I didn't have enough cash on me, because sometimes I do carry cash. So I was like, oh, I don't want my wife. That sounds terrible. I don't want my wife to know about me buying McDonald's dessert at 1:30 in the morning. So I actually went to. I went to go. I will tell you, I went to Backpack because I have quite a bit of USDC on Solana, and I uploaded it to Coinbase enough to go cover that dessert and the fries, and then paid with that. So hopefully she doesn't see this. Nobody clip this. Nobody clip this. Okay. Anyway, all that I'm saying here is that for most people who don't understand how to use crypto, you can use stable coins or various other assets to now spend your crypto balance in the real world using these cards. I will say there are certain cards that are out there that are still looked at as top-up debit cards. Therefore, they will not necessarily be accepted by specific services as a way to pay. There are certain protocols that are out there. Spritz Finance, shout out to them. They've been around for a million years. You can actually sign up to pay for your utilities and stuff like that on Spritz. Let's give them the love. I'm going to do the wrong thing here. I should probably... It is still Spritz.finance. Okay. I was going to enter .fi, but anyway, with Spritz... Oh. 50% discount on fees your first 1,000 transactions. Okay. Oh, I see. If you're just offer happening for crypto. But you can pay for your bills using this. Like cell phone bill, utility bill, mortgage loan, all that's available. My My trackpad is super wonky for some reason right now. And you can top up using funds from a variety of different tokens that are out there. There is a little bit of a mechanism play that happens behind the scenes for most of this, but overall it's fairly seamless. One thing I will say about when we went to Canada to do that, didn't have to worry about the Canadian dollar. All of that was handled by Coinbase's infrastructure on the back end for the currency conversion and all that type of stuff. I don't remember seeing additional fees being taken off, from that, but maybe a couple pennies could have gone back to Pathward or Coinbase, whoever the partner is that handles all of that. I'm not gonna say there's not fees there, to be honest, because I don't know. But we can look here. I did pull up the Coinbase fees here. So this is on there. So there's two versions of Coinbase, right? There's the Coinbase One credit card, which comes, I believe, in BTC, XRP. Is it XRP? One of the two. BTC for sure, but I think there might be a second. It's a beautiful American Express card that it has the first Genesis block of Bitcoin engraved on the front. It's a completely beautiful card. It's very heavy too, from what I remember. And heavy is relative, right? I remember the first time I held an Amex Black. I mean, that card was heavy, and that was in 2007 when I first held that card. And some of these cards can be hefty like that. So it looks like zero fees for the majority of the things here. International ATM withdrawal, 0. You may be charged a fee by the ATM operator even if you do not complete a transaction. Yeah, international transaction, 0. So to my knowledge, I didn't spend any additional money on any of these transactions when I was using it to tap to pay. We had Tim Hortons for the first time. Went to White House. Did I get that right? White Cabin. If you're from Vancouver, tell me what that place is. That's almost like a Shoney's or Denny's type of deal. White Label? Why am I not remembering it? White Spot. My bad. White Spot. Was actually quite good. I was actually very surprised at how good White Spot was. So if you're in Vancouver, you need a bite to eat that's kind of, decent. White Spot. That was the spot. Anyway, yeah, really happy with being able to pay for everything outside the US just using my Coinbase Visa, which pulled from funds that I just kept topping up off of onto Coinbase from my various wallets. So definitely a great use case for that. Did want to do a quick shout out, speaking of Coinbase. If anybody wants to scan that QR code, let me get my big old noggin back on the screen. Shout out to Banker. This is from them. This hat. This shirt's not. This hoodie is from Vancouver. I found it at a vintage spot, actually. Huge PlayStation fan. It's got the hiragana on this side. Or actually, I think this is katakana. I guess on one side. Anyway, huge fan. Wear it sparingly because I want to make sure this stays clean. But we're talking about crypto cards. What I mean crypto cards, meaning debit cards that you can use to pay for services out IRL, in the real world, right? I'm going to pull up a couple different options on what people use. I'll start with the one that I first knew about roughly about 4-ish years ago, thanks to ETHDenver. And that is our friends at Cypher. Shout out to Cypher. You can get a free card from them. They're available on multiple blockchains. They have cards that are specific in partnership with Cypher. And you do get crypto rewards in every purchase. It does work with, you get a virtual version that works with Apple and Google Pay. It works everywhere around the world. Low currency conversion fees. So Coinbase covered all of that, I guess, based on what we saw there. There's a little bit of a currency conversion fee here. So that there is some. So Coinbase is the CEX version. You have to KYC for that. You do have to KYC here too, just so you know. Most of the cards here, there are some that you don't have to KYC at. I'm not going to cover those here, to be honest, but there are some that are out there that you don't have to provide. You just have to provide funding. You don't have to worry about providing any type of information like that. Loading USDC has no fees, but there are multiple different types of assets you can use here. So Cypher, great company. I know there's a lot of protocols that work with them, specifically Moonwell. And Moonwell was actually marketed for a minute as virtual US checking accounts. And all of the funds you keep in the wallet at Moonwell, because as you can see, Moonwell X Cypher, these are all cards that earn rewards. We'll call them rewards. That's the right way to do it, right? While your money is sitting there. So that part's the good part, right? The majority of these cards will earn fees on various assets. I normally just load USDC into most of these, or USDT if it's available. It's up to you on what you have there. Another one, and I just realized I still haven't put out this video. Shout out to Exodus. I know they had an event here not that long ago, and I missed it because I did not realize they were here. They now have Exodus Pay. I have live tested this. It does work. A couple of quirks about getting it off the ground, but I do have it in there if I need to, and the money that comes through comes off of Solana. So that part's cool. If you have USDC, you can transfer out money. So if someone does give you money, if you have this bump pay, you can actually withdraw it to Solana as USDC. So that's how I was able to do that, and then of course I just use that to fund my McDonald's dessert runs. If I ever need them. It is sponsored with their partnership with MasterCard. So Cypher, I believe, is MasterCard, but they also might have Visa. Nope, they're Visa. Certain groups have MasterCard, certain groups have Visa. So it's interesting to see how, either way, it covers 90% of the commercial market, right? Some other big cards, MetaMask, definitely one of the premier MasterCards that are out there. You get an actual IBAN, a Swiss bank account, if I'm not mistaken, if you get the correct one. If you get and you do get cash back for all of these. So what's cool about these, again, is you can easily move funds to the different blockchains that you can use specifically. Like on Coinbase, you don't have to choose USDC. You can choose another asset if you want to use that as your cash out asset. I would recommend you use stablecoins just because they're just easier to move around, less slippage, that type of deal. I wouldn't. I mean, I know that people love the idea of spending their Bitcoin at Steak and Shake. I personally don't want to spend my Bitcoin. I would rather spend stablecoins. So, but that's me. Now for MetaMask card, you have to utilize Linea blockchain for that. But you have seamless spending in a variety of different assets. Yeah, my trackpad is just wonky. Maybe I just need to reboot at some point. So, steak. You'll see this. There's a pattern here, right? So generally, if you want an actual card, they were giving these out on the street last year in New York at Permissionless, and at Vegas, at BTC Vegas. The metal card costs money, right? You can have a virtual one for free, but the metal one actually has some better perks, right? So you have 3% stablecoin cashback. There's asterisks on that, obviously. Card limits, you can get up to $30,000 a day, $5,000 a day from an ATM. You get a physical card as well as a virtual. And no foreign transaction fees. There's always going to be asterisks around ATM withdrawals because the operator will still probably charge you. Interesting. They have Linea things here too. Boosted yield on Aave for being a card holder. And this is something that a couple other ones that we'll talk about also have really great little bonuses on. Specifically, a lot of them are getting into travel. There is one website, Travala. They've been around forever, and you can pay using various digital assets for your booking of flights and hotels and stuff like that. I think you think even renting cars you can use Travala for. A lot of them are in these loyalty programs now. Like there's some really good hotel stuff here. Blackbird is a restaurant, I believe a restaurant loyalty program where you can reserve and stuff like that using their Fly token and exclusive Blackbird experiences. There's clearly a partnership there. Yeah, that's where it is right there for Blackbird. And then in travel is the partner for that. So that's interesting. Anyway, that's the MetaMask card. You do have to KYC for this, just so you know. I don't think I'll be talking about anything that's not KYC today. We already looked at the Moonwell card. Moonwell is on Base, so as long as you have funds on Base, which is easy to get to if you're on Coinbase, or even through some of our respected cross-chain bridge protocols. Like we prefer Jumper. I recommend Jumper to everybody as a great cross-chain bridging tool, mainly because it's an aggregator, so it aggregates the best route for you. One we'll also talk about is Solaire. This is on Solana. So the way that this works is you have a crypto native Visa card that lets you spend stable coins globally while staying fully on chain. That is a debit card, guys, just so you know. But it's all app based, and I don't know if you actually get a physical card. Interesting. No fees on P2P transfers. So if you or someone else has a Solaire app, and Solaire is based on Solana, you have the ability to easily do that. So they do have mobile wallet. Oh, Alipay. Interesting. On-chain settlement. Yep, and that's on Solana. Real-time balance tracking. What's great about that, because it is on-chain, and this is the strength of being on-chain, is that everything is settled right then and there. There's no waiting however long over the weekend. Everything's real-time. Everything as you spend it gets settled instantly because of stablecoins. So that's where the futuristic part of this comes in. What I will do is also shout out the OG, I guess, in this space. And of course, I'm probably missing a couple different others. But Crypto.com was probably the first one, at least in my experience, that had a fairly decent card. And they still do. I still have I think I have the Indigo card. Yeah, because I didn't want to do the Crow staking for the others, so I have Indigo. Now, you have to. They've changed it now, but you actually have to lock in your funds for a specific amount of time, and it's but it's a way to. It's a way to spend your crypto that you have on the CEX, right? So you have to upload your like on Coinbase, you have to upload your funds there, and you earn as it stakes there. There's a specific amount that you have to stake. Not a bad deal. I think Metropolitan Bank is their U.S. partner bank in the U.S. So definitely something to look at if you're looking for the right card that's for you. Crypto.com is fine. I've been a Coinbase user since 2011, so for me it just makes a lot of sense to just use Coinbase, just because it's fast, it's free to send, to deposit, and withdraw to blockchains, most of them with USDC. So that's why I just use Coinbase for the majority of things, and I do use USDC for the majority of my transactions. Although I'm starting to adopt using USDT 0 quite a bit more. because you can never be too diversified, in my personal opinion. All right, let's talk about EtherFi. EtherFi, formerly, well, EtherFi still does exist as a liquid restaking company. One of the first big ones as part of their EETH, if I'm not mistaken. EETH is their liquid staking Ethereum coin, which was used in the EigenCloud ecosystem. Then they pivoted. Oh God, I think it's been 2.5 years now. They are one of our content partners, longtime content partners at Beacon. Shout out to the group over at EtherFi. I thought this was a very novel idea when they first decided to do it, but now they've completely grown it to a very impressive juggernaut of a service. They have tiers now for what they have here. Yeah, you get a personal Swiss IBAN account. You get travel lounge and concierge perks if you go for the membership itself. And if you want to do it, it's up to you. I know multiple people who have this. And they recently moved from Scroll, which is zero knowledge ZK chain, layer 2, to Optimism, which I thought was a very interesting move. But there's probably just a lot more liquidity strategies available that they can do to, make some dough on the backside, most likely. I don't know where their lines and pools go. That's just something I haven't done a whole lot of research on. But they do have insurance, optional, available. And we haven't really talked a lot about insurance, right? Groups like Nexus or Insurace. There's a couple that are out there. And basically, it's if something ever happens to your crypto, you can file a claim, and unless things have changed, there's a DAO that's in charge of a claim fund that will overlook claim issues, and then they will dole it out as necessary. So that's kind of how that works. But you can stake your assets that are available here. There's your wrapped EETH. So they are still doing it, but they've just taken the rest of it and turned it into a neobank. The reason why this is important, right, is because your typical bank pays you 0 on a checking account, right? A savings account, a little bit of a different thing, right? You can get 0.05%, 0.025%. We could do a whole thing. Now, I know there are tools like NerdWallet for high yield spending accounts, high yield savings accounts, HYSAs. Those are all great, right? But it takes a lot of paperwork and getting all that done. Things that people don't necessarily want to be a part of. Whereas with EtherFi, this is all newer technology, blockchain rails with adapters to go with off-ramping back to banks. I mean, we're in a situation now where we have most of the banks and fintech groups coming into blockchain now, right? Swift bringing 11,500 member banks with them. Bank of England just had a hack, like a little challenge where they praised Chainlink, which is working with Swift, by the way, to bring all of that to Linea, the layer 2 from Consensus, which is ETH-Validium. There's a lot of interest worldwide from fintechs into this technology because blockchains are with smart contracts are immutable. They're fairly fast and they're fairly efficient, and it's same-day settlement. Whereas you'd have ACHs and clearinghouses across the world that can take literal days for stuff like this. So this is it's all good stuff. Another one, Jupiter. If you use Jupiter Mobile, you can get access to their Jupiter Visa card. And it is an actual credit card that uses a different. Is this the same thing? maybe not. In any case, these are all available. Now, another big project that's been really just making a lot of inroads over the last 18 months, I'd say, is Rain. And there are multiple groups working with Rain, even some that are actually also doing cards. I mean, I guess Ether5 has just listed Tangem, Tria, another big neobank also out there. But look at some of these other big brands: Cleveland Cavaliers, LSU, that is the College University of Louisiana State University, Western Union, Cast, which also I totally forgot to put Cast up here. Cast is another big spending card. Let's go ahead and look at Cast's website so you can kind of get an idea. They I did not grab the actual physical card. I should have when I was in Vegas last year for Bitcoin 2025. And yeah, my apologies. They're also a huge player in this space now. And it's earn up to 7% APY plus bonus rewards with risk-adjusted vaults. That's Cast Earn. Now, to my knowledge, the majority of this is on Solana, but I would need to do a little bit more research on that, so don't quote me on that. And they have, they do have some membership, right? $1,000 a year for this annual, for $1,000 annual for this, $10,000 for the 3% one. And you get a gold-plated card plus 2 free cards from any other tier. Built for people who refuse to wait on their bank. This may not age well, guys, because this is gonna become quick and instant pretty damn quickly this year. Because like I said before, and I've said in all of our content, this is the year of integration, where we're getting more and more groups wanting to bring a lot of their services on chain that have been on chain. Visa and MasterCard, them being the partners for Cypher, which, like I mentioned, has been around for years as a Visa partner. That's not by accident. Visa and MasterCard have been testing in this space for years, in excess of 4 to 5 years at this point. They've been testing this technology for a very long time, guys. So Stripe becoming a penultimate player in this space by, acquiring companies, bringing that payment inflow on chain through their own blockchain called Tempo, is a very bold move, because that means that, like Visa, like MasterCard, now with Stripe as an actual payment processing, I keep using the word juggernaut, but as a large mega complex, I'll call it that. We're seeing more and more places where you can spend your well curated crypto strategy money. Let's call it that. All right. I'm gonna harp on this for 1 second. I bring my big fat head here. Take profits regularly. No one ever should apologize for taking profits. I know that in a world where everyone's trying to win that huge 1000x, 100x, whatever you want to call it, you just want to hold it till infinity. You should not be round tripping. I know plenty of people, I see it every day, people talking about round tripping, where they bought something, they held it, didn't take profits on the way up, and then it crashed, and then it came back up to a little bit below where they bought. And they didn't take profits. I mean, I'm guilty of it too. Take profits. That's what these platforms are all here for, right? Take profits, convert to stablecoin, put it in these different groups and vaults, diversify it so you're earning So your money's not just sitting there idle. It's still earning while it's sitting there. That's the beauty of this system. That's the beauty of decentralized finance. That's the beauty of blockchain ecosystems. And we now have many groups that are off ramps here. I'm going to shout out Red Lion Eye. I just chose his post because it's something that I decided to use. But putting Revolut here in the top left is a funny choice. It is what it is. This is a very small. Let me be honest. This is a very small slice of the number of groups that are out there. Now, we talked about Pirate doesn't need to be there anymore. We've got some here like, But as you can see, there are multiple apps, and this is just a microcosm. There's easily a dozen or 24 more neobank platforms on the way, being built currently, trying to solve for all of the problems that have kind of been an issue. And it turns this into the ultimate way to spend your money. Now, obviously it's not helpful in places where, frankly, cash is still king. Like if you're traveling to a country and they just have stacks of cash everywhere as currency exchange, there's nothing you can do to get around that. But any place that does accept Visa or MasterCard, or something similar, you really can't go wrong with using one of these cards. Which is really, and just looking at this is like the reason why Beat the Banks as this podcast exists. There's no Bank of America here, right? There's no HSBC, no Citi, no Chase, no Wells Fargo. None of them are on this list. These are all banks that they're called neobanks, but the correct word for some of them should be DeoBanks, which is decentralized. Wirex, I believe, is specifically one. Same with D-Block. They are decentralized neobanks, meaning that no company owns them. They're completely on-chain. It is self-custody friendly. Your cash, your crypto, your coins, right? And you get to earn and get multiple different perks for doing so, right? Because yes, I must have gone over it, but anyway, these seem nice, but like with EtherFi popping in the travel, Blackbird, like with food, more reasons to consider doing this rather than going through trying to get an Amex card, trying to get a good Capital One Venture X card, stuff that you actually have to work a lot for, right? Because it's just credit. It's stuff you have to pay back. Where this is money that you already have. You custody this money. You get to spend it wherever you like. And your money is earning while it sits there. That is something that your bank cannot do for you. Or rather, they're not willing to do for you, right? I just saw that Jamie Dimon is now on the horn trashing the Clarity Act, saying it does nothing. Of course he's going to say that. He's the head of one of the biggest banks in the world. Of course he doesn't want to support the Clarity Act because he's worried of what it will do to not necessarily his bank, because his bank is one of those too big to fail banks, but more of the member regional banks that they work with that could possibly be affected by a possible stablecoin bank run, because everyone runs for the hills for something like this, which oddly enough is better, right? Rather than going with what they have. Now, let me be realistic. There's no FDIC here, right? That's the one thing too. And if that troubles you, I completely understand that. It's good to have passive lines of income. And I'll call it income because these things are actually earning 3 to 4%. If you got $10,000 in there earning 3 to 4%, it's not bad. even if you don't spend it, even if you just spend whatever it's making, you know, once a month, just going out to, I don't know, dinner, movie, whatever. This is the future of where things are going, guys. Yes, there are tons of banks. There are tons of these guys too. And they're bringing the future of payments. They are censorship resistant, anti-fragile. They are open source in most cases. They're all about privacy and security. So I just named off crops for anyone who's looking for a Vitalik reference. They're using blockchain technology for same-day cross-border settlement. That is the key here, right? I can tell you, using my Coinbase Visa card, I didn't have to worry at all. I was worried at first until I did the first couple of transactions when I was over the border. Once I actually got my phone to work, that's another story. But it works seamlessly. You know, in a country I'd never been to before. Just tap to pay. Everything went through. Ding ding. We're good. We got our food or whatever we were doing, and we were on our way. And that was the beautiful thing about using funds that, you know, I have here in the crypto DeFi space and blockchain ecosystems to really just get some really cool memories with my kids, you know? And in a lot of ways, that's always what it's about, right? Now, there's tons of different cards I didn't mention. Shout out to groups like Avalanche and other groups that have cards that are all fairly tied into these ecosystems because of these partnerships, right? Plasma One. Plasma is a whole blockchain. They've got an interesting idea with their Plasma One card. You know, let's pull them up. Mm-hmm. 10% cash back on Claude Opus 4.8 when you use the Plasma One card to pay for your Claude subscription. Interesting. Make stablecoins your everyday money. So for personal, looks like it's still early access. So they're not completely everywhere. And again, most of it is here with the digital cards, and you can add your local currency, get dollars, withdraw anytime. So that's the other part too, where these stable coins can be fed with any local currency for the most part using an on-ramper, regardless of how you get it there. And then you can withdraw at any time as well. The reason why, and I'll tell you, when we were really ramping up with the original mastermind, I would be, onboarding people. They would be telling me stories about how they live in a country with terrible exchange rate, and their buying power was much improved by being able to hold on to digital assets and other stable coins, because they know that if they have USDC, they can go back and off-ramp it into their currency and have more buying power. That's just kind of the beauty of how international currencies work, right? So there's that. Now, with that said, I know the example for most stablecoins is the US dollar. There are other stablecoins that are not based on the US dollar that are gaining, a lot of support, like the EURC from Circle. There are other types of, like, I think CZ helped multiple countries get their own stable coins off the ground. Not central bank digital currencies, but actual sovereign digital dollars in their local currency, like the digital dirham in Dubai is going to be a very interesting coin. I'm very curious to see how that's going to work with digital dirhams and how they're going to really just probably be very popular. But Plasma, really great blockchain. I really enjoy them. Super fast, super cheap, unbelievably cheap to pay an XPL for gas. USDT or USDT 0, the Omnichain version, is the centerpiece. I do believe that Plasma was created to take a huge market share chunk out of Tron, where the majority of USDT still sits in the space. How long that stays the status quo, I'm not sure. But Plasma has decent marketing, and they've done some decent things. I haven't used Plasma One, but they seem to have a lot of everything that you're looking for. Looks like it's just on iOS, no Android app yet. That'll be interesting. Let's just look at some of these questions because I'm curious to see how they answer them, right? How does Plasma One pay yield on my balance? Stablecoins held on Plasma One earn yield through opportunities in the Plasma on-chain ecosystem. Once you deposit in the Earn Vault, your balance keeps accruing yield. My guess is this is probably an Euler or Morpho situation where that money comes from. Because I don't think Aave has a market publicly on Plasma. Are there fees? Plasma One does not charge any additional fees. Some transactions, such as foreign exchange and bank withdrawals, include partner fees, which are shown in the app before you confirm. And again, it looks like Coinbase has been subsidizing most of that, which it is what it is. Where can I use my Plasma One card? It's a Visa card. Pardon me. Is Plasma One a bank? I know the answer to this question. No. But they work. They work with a lot of different groups. Plasma One are powered by Bridge. Do you know who acquired Bridge for like $1.2 billion at the end of 2024? That would be Stripe. Does Plasma One work with Apple Pay? Yes. Android and Google Pay support is coming. How do rewards work? Every qualifying purchase made with your Plasma One card earns cash back in XPL. Your rate depends on your tier. I don't know how you feel about that, with XPL being what it is. Can I withdraw Plasma One in my bank account? Yes. The rails depend on your region. In the US, they'll be using Bridge to easily... I think Bridge's interface is very similar to something like Plaid. If you use Plaid, you just connect your bank and then you just withdraw. Who custodies my money? You do. Plasma One does not custody your assets. The stablecoin balance backing your Plasma One card is owned and custodied by you. Stablecoins held in the Plasma One ecosystem earn yield through opportunities of the Plasma on-chain ecosystem. So yes, it is your money, but there just happens to be your funds being used in pools to earn additional interest. Now, again, this goes back to the idea that, I said this last week, right? Banking isn't going to die. But banks in the way that they look now possibly could be. Right? Now, this is financial advice. Do your own research. But a lot of the ideas behind what banks do that they don't tell you about with loan depositor money, dark pools, all that stuff out there, they earn, let's call it 4 to 6%. They keep the majority of that. They give you pennies per month on that as a thank you for trusting them with your funds. Why not do it yourself? Very similar mechanisms. Granted, the TVL and Plasma One could be a little bit higher, but regardless, the idea is the same. The idea is the same. Same thing if you're on Moonwell. The idea is the same. There are money markets there that your money supports. Same thing with Solaire on Solana. And others that are like it. Alright guys, I've waxed for 50 minutes on this. Hopefully you found some decent value in this. If anything, send it to your friends that are not sure about if crypto is real money. Because I've been doing this podcast since January of 2022, guys. Yes, it's very much real. And yes, your favorite bank is moving on chain this year. So don't be left behind, or at least have the education that you need to do in order to make the right decision for yourself. I'm not here to tell you you need to be on chain, because you should have a diversified portfolio anyway, because of FDIC insurance, blah, 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 right? But the idea where you can have your money self-custodied, and it is in a asset that is not depreciating 15% year over year, is backed by strong fundamentals, and allows you to do transactions anywhere in the world near instantly, within minutes, seconds in some cases, as opposed to waiting for the traditional bank settlement cycles. How could you not want to be a part of that, right? Money remittance has been changed a lot by this. Now, if you listen to the story of MoneyGram, and I think this is recently around because they partnered to have a stablecoin on Solana, the founder was like, we're the original, liquidity provider. They have like 1.5 billion or something like that in funds across the world, so they can easily just like, if you send money here, they can just give that person that money while they wait for that wire to settle, which can take like 3 to 5 business days in some cases. That takes that and shrinks it to milliseconds, depending on which blockchain ecosystem you're on. If you're on Solana, if you're on Base, milliseconds to finalize and settle that transaction. Guys, you gotta get with everything that's going on here in the future. Again, I may be talking upon deaf ears because many of you who are listening or watching this podcast we're regular viewers, and thank you so much for doing that. Or you are understanding of the way this works. But there's so many people in this world that do not understand what is happening here, and they need to be made aware. And I can't do this all on my own, as much as I would love to, and just be the voice. It's going to take many of us being the voice to make sure that this message goes out. So yes, we're still in the early stages, right? I mean, let's be very honest here. If I'm looking at, this tweet, Tuyo's cool too. Shout out to Tuyo. Not everybody on this list is going to survive. You could see some consolidations, you could see some M&As happening over the next couple of years to make this space a little bit smaller, but just be appreciative of the fact that there are this many groups and big money going in to try and make this a reality. They wouldn't be popping in money and raising rounds of funds if it wasn't going to go somewhere. It's already gone leaps and bounds above where you think it has already. The whole point about the next, let's call it 12 months, is polishing the UX, the user experience, so that it makes it so much easier for the everyday person who knows very little about even their phone, can pick it up, use it to send somebody some money or receive money or custody their money on chain through a mobile app. Not my ideal solution, to be quite honest, because you guys know, if you're a regular follower, how I feel about using mobile devices for DeFi. But using it for payment remittance and using it to pay for things, absolutely, it's the best tool that you can have in your hand. With that said, as part of the security things we talk about, please be very careful. Have biometrics at the very least on your security. Do not use SMS OTPs where they send you the thing. Do not rely on that. Have a second factor, another factor, whether it be through biometrics, through a YubiKey that you tap in to your phone or you plug in, different things that are out there. Please make sure you're using correct operational security, what we call OPSEC, to make sure that you're doing this in the most safe and secure way that you can. Because you can be your own bank. You just have to have that same mindset that banks have with regards to security. And you should, because self-custody is the way. That's about it, guys. Again, if you liked what you heard, saw some great value, again, send it to your friends. Like, follow, subscribe. Or you can also join our free group, Total Value Locked. Join the many who have come over through our company, Beacon DeFi, to help onboard new users into the space. We have a lot of free content. Check out our Start Here post. You get a message from myself and our CEO, Andrew. And you'll learn more about what we do in terms of being an educational company, helping you onboard with the right content. We do have a paid option if you would like to get one-on-one mentorship with myself or someone else on the team. Shout out to our Beacon Mastermind members, both our founding members and our current members, as well as our current Beacon Challenge and Beacon Spotlight subscribers. You guys make what we do possible. We thank you guys so much. With that said, we do this podcast every Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern. And really just here to educate you, show you the right ways with this technology, get you ready for the future. Pardon me. Stay safe out there. Hold on to your coins safely and securely. Don't throw all your money into one meme coin. Please stop doing that. Take profits, put them into these types of things so you can actually spend them. Enjoy your profits. With that said, take care. Keep beating those banks. We'll see you next week for another episode of Beat the Banks. I'm Chris, the DeFi Professor. It's been a pleasure talking to you today. Beacons up. Banks down. Take care, everybody. Have a great weekend.